And hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Good to see everybody. Oh my goodness. I don't know if there is. It's so weird, like watching these old animations. It really is. Like, it's so funny to see that, like, an animation from fucking 20 years ago is better than most of the stuff that's out there today. Isn't it wild? Hello, Samantha. Hello, Ellie. Andrea. Hydrian, how you doing? Oh my goodness. I'm a bit sleepy today. But we have a lot to talk about today. We have a lot to talk about today. Funny part was, hello Stacy, how you doing? Funny part was I was going to talk about something in the vein of this today. Before the Activision thing even came up, I was going to talk about like companies being just generally shit, and talk about the social media policy, because I think social media policies have gotten to a point now where they are borderline unconstitutional. It is legal censorship at this point. And so I was going to talk a bit about that today. And then Activision decided to stick its foot so far down its mouth that it can walk with both feet out its ass. That's awesome, Stacy. You just got home from work. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. So we're going to talk a bit about that today too. Oh, absolutely. Funimation's been a cult for a long time. And so something that a lot of people might not know, because I don't really talk about it. I talk about some stuff about myself, but I don't talk about a lot of the stuff, because I'm old, right? So I have been through a lot of stuff. But in my lifetime, I spent quite a good chunk of it in management of a company. It was a call center basically. I was a manager at a call center for quite a while, and more so than the average, because I would deal with clients directly. Like, so we were a third party call center for a few different places. One was a major bank. One was a company that sold like luggage and shit. And so I would be interacting directly with the clients, like the CEOs and the management, like the high management of those companies, because we were a small team, and so I had the unique privilege of experiencing corporate culture head on, and there's a reason why I don't work in that type of area anymore, because I can't fucking stand it. So we're gonna talk a bit about that today, and how all of that relates. Apologize for the yawns. How all of that relates to this shit right here on the screen right now, about why I'm not fucking surprised that this shit's going on. Why I'm not fucking surprised that they tried to sacrifice a body to the machine, that is the woke culture, and why I am not surprised that it miraculously backfired on them. So, Funimation, if you're not watching this, you should be watching Funimation, by the way, because this is coming for you too. This is coming for you too, by the way. You know. You might have a stranglehold on the voice acting community right now, but all it's going to take is for one person to stand up and point out the fact that you literally have a bulging closet full of skeletons, and it's only a matter of time. It's going to happen. It's just sad how unsurprising it is to anyone. Like, honestly though, like it's probably shocking to the general public that this stuff comes out, because the general public doesn't have to deal with this stuff 90% of the time, right? The general public operates in this nice little bubble of ignorance about like the world and how the world is just perfect peaches and candy, and everybody's super nice to each other. Everyone has 9 to 5 Monday to Friday jobs. They all go to the cottage on the weekend, et cetera, right? That's what the general public operates on. Those of us in the skeevy underbelly, we understand a bit differently. We've been in the trenches, right? So I'm a bit jaded when it comes to the greater overall. I swear, I was not yawning before the stream, and now I am. I swear to God. Casting couch gate went. It's coming. It's coming. Don't you worry. As soon as the stuff with the Vic case starts to roll out, because right now, let me just say this, like right now, the only reason it has not come out yet is because they have a common enemy right now, right? They still have the big bad, the big Vic man bad, right? They still have the big baddie to go up against. And so they're all united against that right now. But as soon as that disappears, they have to maintain relevance, right? They have to maintain relevance. And so once a decision comes either way for the Vic Mignogna case, I would say within 4 to 6 months, you're going to see people start to turn on each other. You're going to see another person dragged out into the court of public opinion, and you're going to see a whole bunch of shit thrown on executives because they've known it's been going on the entire time. The absolute entire time. Exactly, Samantha, the woke always eventually eat each other. And it's because there's not enough food, right? They always have to take off of someone else's plate. You shared the opinion that VAs were more humble than big actors in Hollywood due to the small pay. Hating Vic is a requirement to become a worker at Funimation. And now Vic's not there. So what are they going to do? What are they going to do? It's running out quickly. It's a finite resource, right? It's a finite thing, like it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable, and they have to find someone. They have to find someone to crucify, because if they don't, well, then they're next, right? They're the next one in line. Hopefully the court slaps a B in Indiana first. Well, it probably will happen, honestly. We'll probably see the hearing on September 17th before we hear anything about the Vic case. Just the way things go. Because courts like to take their time. Wouldn't it be magnificent if they both happen on the same day? That'd just be peachy, I think. Be so good. But either way, I think I'm putting it out there right now. I think as within 6 months of a ruling happening on the Vic case, and once that has been thoroughly and completely ended, you're going to see people start turning on each other at Funimation. You're going to start seeing the people at the bottom rung of the ladder that are no longer getting table scraps start grenading people and grenading their careers and start calling out executives at Funimation. Just very much like is going on right now with Activision. And it's not going to be pretty, because I think I don't know how Texas is as a whole for employment rights, because this is happening in California right now, and California seems pretty pissed off at Activision Blizzard, because Activision Blizzard thumbed their nose at California's requirement, because you can guarantee it will happen. Activision Blizzard thumbed their nose at California's requirement to have diversified hirings, right? I mean, like, more power to them, because I don't agree on forced diversity. I don't agree with that at all. I agree with putting the right people in the right positions, I agree with paying the people appropriately and equally for doing equal work. I do not agree with forced diversity. Forcing to take someone who is lesser skilled because of their skin color or gender is just not correct. And that also applies to people of color, right? Because if you already have a black person or an Asian person on staff and you're forced to hire on a different colored person, but you're overlooking a talented black person or Asian person or person of color or what have you, then that also works against forced diversity, right? Because, well, you have to keep a quota, right? You have to have a percentage of individuals that are XYZ. And if you're ignoring that, well, then all of a sudden you're discriminating against XYZ person. Unless they're white, then you can't discriminate them, right? That's the way it goes. But I don't agree with forced diversity. I think we can take a look at things like Neverhood, right? Neverhood back in the day. The group that put together Earthworm Jim, the group that put together Skull Monkeys, the group that like all these things, they had a diverse group. They had a weird-minded people from all different walks of life, right? All different colors, all different genders, all different sexualities. That was natural. That was not forced. And look at the amazing shit that they put together and they put out there. And that they continue to put out there. When you start forcing things together and you start forcing things on people, you start to get Tumblr cartoons, right? You start to get those things, which, I mean, it's great for a very niche audience. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there that really like the new He-Man. All 100 of them. Maybe. I'm generous, but forcing diversity on somebody just makes it so that no one fucking likes their job. I mean, imagine if you had an all-black business and the government stepped in and said, you have to hire Asians or you have to hire white people. That's never going to happen, right? That's never going to happen. Because then you're going to make the workplace uncomfortable. There's plenty of workplaces around my area here because we're richly diverse where I'm from. There's plenty of workplaces here that are strictly Middle Eastern staff, that are strictly black staff, that are strictly Asian staff. And it looks very awkward if you go in there and you tell them they have to hire a specific race or they have to hire a specific sexuality or what have you. It's very awkward, right? Because then you're taking away a choice from the business. But that's a very fine line to walk right now, I think. Like Circle K. Popeye's chicken, actually. Popeye's chicken, which is a great thing. I love Popeye's chicken, by the way. I eat it almost every single day. I get like a small thing for lunch, like every day. Call centers around here actually are pretty diverse, but they also have forced diversity in hiring too, which I'll get to, because I was one of the individuals that interviewed people at this particular call center. Popeyes is so good. Popeye's chicken is so good. I know there's better out there, but Popeyes is like the freaking best around here. You guys don't even know. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Because, like I said, I've been in a management position. I have been in that seat. I've talked to executives. I've heard conversations. Important question. Which sauce? I take the buttermilk ranch. Because I am a basic white bitch. So, that's what, that's why. You don't know if you'd want a non-Asian doing your nails. It's their culture. So I'm saying, like, there are certain things. Like, if I want authentic African cuisine, do I want some, like, pasty white bitch that's worked at Starbucks their entire life to be cooking? No. I want someone who knows the fucking culture. If I want Caribbean, I want someone from, like, Jamaica or Dominican Republic. Like, I want that, right? That's what I want. Watch out at Popeye's Gail Cord Schuler Warren Smith. And just a heads up, people. I will allow most things in chat. I can't allow certain things that will get me yeeted from YouTube, so I have to hide certain things that get me yeeted from YouTube. You can say like mostly everything in chat, but I do get monitored by YouTube for what people say, so I have to disallow certain things from being said. So I hate it, but you know, it is what it is. But it's part of what we're going to be talking about today in the forced censorship that we see in companies. Most of you might know, because some of you work at, I'm the president now. Some of you might know because you work at companies that have social media policies, right? Don't yeet me, please. We must appease Susan. Exactly. That's why we speak obtusely. There's certain words and things like and phrases and shit that I have to like not allow in the chat, unfortunately. Because unfortunately, I'm not, you know, a 100,000 plus subscriber channel that has a YouTube manager, and I can't just talk to my YouTube manager and be like, well, you know, this. So I have to kind of play by the rules until I can get bigger than the rules. But some of you might know that like your jobs may have a social media policy, which in theory is a smart idea, right? Because in theory, it would protect you from speaking poorly about the company or making the company look bad by association, etc., right? Social media policies, or like media policies in general, used to be like, just don't go out and tell news media or tell other people widely that we are shit. Basically, it's like if you work for like a Zellers or like a Sears or something like that, like garbage companies, you can't go out on Facebook, or you shouldn't go out on Facebook or Twitter and say, you know, Sears is shit. I work at Sears and it's shit. That would be a violation of the social media policy, right? However, as most things do, I used to work at Walmart. Most companies now are taking advantage of said social media policies. The Asian girl who read a bunch of slurs and white people got fired. Big oof. That's a big oof. So, as such a thing, most things start innocently enough until a CEO or a middle management decides that they want to like prove themselves, right? So, social media policies have seemingly been taken so far out of context that it is being used actively for censorship now. And because the government's because like the Canadian government has protections against censorship for speech, and it's not as permeating as the First Amendment. It's not as permeating as well, I don't know which amendment it is for the U.S., but for the freedom of speech, it's not as permeating as that. We just have protections on expression in our for artistic expression, etc., etc. So like we do, we do cover that stuff, but not nearly as much as the U.S. The U.S. is very, very pro free speech, very heavy on that. But it seems like now that the government might be influencing these companies, or, you know, in some instances, might be influencing these companies to censor on behalf. Killing in the name of, right? Do I think it started innocently? No. I think the idea of a social media policy was innocent enough. I think it started out as a, you know, protect the company, don't slander the company. You can say whatever you want about, you know, other stuff yourself, just don't make the company look bad. I think it either quickly or eventually became a means, like a vehicle for censorship and termination. So, very, very much in that direction, in that vein. Because we see stuff, like, we see stuff almost all the time now, mostly because of the Trump presidency. When Trump was president, we saw a lot of companies overreach with their social media policies, leaning over their shoulder and asking, what you got there? Nice company. Shame if something happened to it. Seriously. It's a lot of biases, right? It's a lot of biases, and it might not even be direct government intervention, but it is very much politically driven, right? It's very much politically driven. Hello, Tom. How you doing? How are you doing, Tom? We see it all the time. We saw it with Disney, multiple times with Disney, right? Disney knew about James Gunn and everything he said, obviously. They went and scoured his social media before they hired him. Of course they did. They knew about all the shit that he said. What'd you miss out on? Nothing so much. We're just kind of prepping for what we're going to be talking about today in the show. Yeah, the show started at 5. I have a lot to go through, which is why I wanted to start a little bit early, because I have the document for Activision getting completely blown out. So we're going to go through some of the allegations that are going through there, which is very, very interesting. They knew that James Gunn had said weird edgelord shit back in like 20 years ago, right? It didn't matter to them when they hired him. Didn't matter to them when they hired him at all. It only mattered when they brought it up, right? Where's my mouse? There we go. Exactly. It's only a good idea to speak on your behalf with their shitty takes. Exactly. So they decided to terminate James Gunn. They decided to terminate Gina Carano for the exact same shit. Censorship of their speech. It had nothing to do with Disney. Gina didn't come out and say Disney is literally Hitler. They're gassing people. Like, she didn't come out and say that. She said something unrelated to Disney regarding her own political views, and she got persecuted for it because of a social media policy, which is ridiculous. One of the friends of the stream. This is the main reason why I wanted to talk about it today. One of the friends of this stream, Kiwi Farms Ken Jennings, decided to follow a public case about the Sophie Long situation, right? And Ken decided to do some streams and talk about it with an informed opinion of being a therapist and dealing with stuff that kids have, Ken was primarily a child therapist. Primarily. Dealt with all sorts of stuff from kids that have been abused, from kids that have gone through this type of shit, etc., giving an informed opinion on insight to the Sophie Long stuff. And what happened? Was there an investigation? So for those of you who don't know, Ken was threatened by a hate mob, like a lunacy mob. He helped vets too, absolutely. He helped adults, he helped abused men. And he was attacked by a lunatic mob who had bought in to a PR firm's paid for, sponsored by campaign, and ignored what Ken was saying, period, threatened him to shut up, and when he didn't shut up, they called his job and told lies and got him fired. For no reason, by the way. For literally no reason. All comes back to social media policies, right? Because the employer can fall back, oh, well, the social media policy says blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. Bullshit. Did Ken step out and say, I am speaking on behalf of this firm? Did he say, did he even use his real identity? Did he do his due diligence to try and separate his opinion from that firm entirely? I mean, I say yes, I think he did. I think he separated himself entirely from it. That doesn't matter to these companies, though. Right? Doesn't matter. We look at what happened with Quentin Flynn. Same sort of difference, right? Activision Blizzard replaces Quentin on almost every one of the characters that he's voiced for them. Over nothing. Because they did what? Because someone made up a story about him and got beaten in court? Let me rewind that again so people can understand. Quentin Flynn won a court case, and Activision Blizzard still replaced him, knowing that he won a court case. Not even the fact that he won the court case, not even the fact that they replaced him. They wanted to get voice mimics, people who could emulate his voice, people who sounded like him, sound-alikes. Because they don't want his paycheck. They just want what he brings to the table without paying for it. And they use, again, they can point to social media policies. Oh, well, you know, you said this or you said that and blah, 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 blah. It looks bad on the company because of things being said on social media. Bullshit. Did anything in Quentin's private life have anything to do with what was going on at Activision Blizzard? Absolutely not. So why are people getting fired? Why are people getting replaced? Why are people getting dragged through the mud for shit that has literally nothing to do with the company? Hate to say it, but it's better that Q didn't return to Blizzard. Absolutely, I agree. I mean, I think it's a blessing that Quentin got schismed from Activision. I think it's a blessing that Vic got schismed from Funimation, because I think these companies are piles of garbage. I think these companies are absolutely piles of fucking garbage. And they don't deserve the quality of people like a Vic Mignogna, like a Quentin Flynn. And quite frankly, in Ken's case, I don't think that fucking firm deserves him either. I think Ken has enough of a talent. If Ken pursued the ability to do something as an independent because of his unique talents, because of how little there are people that are trained as such in his field, I think he could be very successful. Which, I'll say the same thing to fucking everybody. I think Vic should make his own. I think Quentin should do his own thing. I think when you have been to the pinnacle of your industry, this goes to everybody out there, by the way. Gina Carano, all these other people too. I think when you have been to the pinnacle of your industry, you have been to a point where you have carved a new fucking path, where you have done things that other people have not done, when you have changed when you've changed the game for your business, for your industry, and your company doesn't respect that, doesn't acknowledge it, but instead punishes you for it, I think it's time. I think it's time to look at your own talents and see what your options are. He said nothing and did nothing for our own protection. Totally fucked and to get punished for a public attack out of his control. I agree. 100%. 100% agree. Funimation doesn't deserve anything except a kick in the ass for being so goddamn stupid. They're getting one. They're gonna get one. I guarantee you, once the Vic Mignogna case has been settled one way or the other, we're going to see Funimation go through the Activision treatment. They're going to get dragged out and beaten publicly. Because right now they have a common enemy. Right now they have a common enemy. Have I seen the pictures of the people that attacked Ken? Oh, I know. I know. I've seen them. Wish I hadn't, but I have seen them. And the funny part is, they think they're anonymous, right? They really think they're anonymous. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that know who you are and who you work for. And you better hope they have better self-control than you do. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Y'all had better hope that they have better self-control. Don't sit on her. But yeah, we're gonna take a look through this Activision stuff here. But I do want to say, like, I know Ken has a locals page. I think it's Ken's counseling couch on locals. Go check it out if you want to directly support Ken. You can directly support Ken that way. Because I know Ken's gonna be going through a bit of a rough time because of these psychopaths that literally can't keep it in their own. And like, let me just say this real quick. If you're an accountant for a small firm, small family-run firm that you're not a family member of, you should probably hold back from throwing stones. You should probably hold back from sharing personal information of people because it might come back to bite you as an accountant. It might come back to bite you that you're sharing personal information. Private personal information. By the way. Just saying. Maybe you should stop treating it like it's a fucking episode of true crime, and maybe you should start treating it like reality. That's all I gotta say about that. He should start his own therapy office. From what I understand, he's not quite got the qualifications to do that part of it yet. Like, I would suggest to him, absolutely go for it. Go for those qualifications and start your own office. Because apparently there's a very small amount of people who do what he does. And I think it's an absolute travesty that he's not allowed to do that right now. For him and others. I think the clown that's running that office should be terminated for making such a fucking stupid decision, for not only destroying Ken's life, but destroying the lives of all of the fucking people that go to your office for help. I think your short-sighted, selfish, ridiculous knee-jerk reaction, I think 100% should be punished. Because I think you yourself are a garbage human being too. Anal retentive for details. It's terrible that's happening to Ken. It's terrible. And I think it's also equally, if not worse. It happened like last week, Samantha. It happened like last week. He was covering the Sophie Long situation, and he was reading court documents that were publicly available, by the way, that were legally obtained, by the way, and he was threatened by a hate mob who is on the side of the allegedly sexually assaulting party. Ken got terminated from his job because of these people. They called up his job and said heinously false things about him. And his boss didn't want to hear anything in defense. His boss had already made up her mind. Because it appears, when that shit happens, it appears to me that they want you gone anyways. It appears to me when that situation happens, when it comes up and they don't have a defense, they don't want to hear a defense, they wanted an excuse to fire you. Which brings me to a little story. I used to work for a call center. It's a relatively large call center. It is pretty horrible, Tom. I agree. I used to work for a call center that it basically its biggest client was an online bank in the U.S. I don't have any NDAs anymore, so go fuck yourselves. It was a big U.S. bank. It was not first party. It was a third party call center. But I used to work on that one for a number of years, and then I moved to a different campaign within the same company that was working with a luggage company, basically. Built it from the ground up. I built it from the ground up. My boss didn't. I built the training materials. I built the scripts. I taught the people right from the start to the finish. I did everything. My boss got the credit for it, of course, but I did everything. I spoke to the client directly, went to dinners, went to meetings, worked directly with the client. I was a manager. It was above my position, but I was a manager for that particular campaign. When we got word that the company had merged with a different one, I knew the writing was on the wall. When the companies merge, of course, they're going to cut costs everywhere they can. So they had told us a date. They had told us about 8 months prior that they were going to be pulling the contract. They were not going to be renewing. The contract was going to be expiring in 8 months. And they had told us that we were not allowed to the frontline agents. Do you know how sick that makes you feel? Knowing that people who have literally you've worked with for like X amount of years, that you're not allowed, and that you've built relationships with these people, that you're not allowed to tell them that they're not going to have a job in 8 months. That for 8 months they're going to be unemployed, and you're not allowed to tell them anything. It's a sickening feeling. So they forced us to sign non-disclosure agreements. And they told us that this is coming from the upper management, by the way, of our company at the time, not the third party company. They forced us to sign non-disclosure agreements. And they told us that we had to spend the next 6 months going through and evaluating people and forcing people to prove themselves. And we were going to take half of the employees and keep them employed, and the rest of them we were going to lay off. We were going to fire them. Because we wanted it, and it didn't come down to performance either. Because we were keeping the people that had language specialties, even though they were trash. Even though they were like literally the worst performing, worst attitudes, worst everything, they were getting kept no matter what. Even though we didn't have any places to put them, even though we didn't have we didn't have any areas to put someone who spoke Italian or German, we kept them because, we could use them in the future. And meanwhile, they're getting paid like twice as much as everybody else to do literally nothing because they get stuck in a queue that gets no phone calls. And when they do get phone calls, they're absolutely terrible. And they're the worst customer service you've ever seen. It has nothing to do with performance. It has everything to do with who is willing to suck the most ass. Who's willing to suck the most ass for 6 months, and then after that, just take your favorites. Doesn't matter how well they perform, doesn't matter how much they do, just pick your favorite. And then they get to be ascended and everyone else loses their job. And you're not allowed to tell them that they're going to lose their job. They'll tell them 2 weeks before. And so word got out that the campaign was going away, obviously. Word got out. Yo, Anonymous, thank you so much.
Anonymous tip $10. Thank you and enjoy smile.
Thank you so much for the $10. I appreciate it. So word got out about the campaign closing, obviously. And because I didn't say anything. I was fuming about it, but I didn't say anything. Exactly. Remember to hit like, feed that algorithm. Or dislike. I mean, you can do that too. Engagement is key here. You can like and dislike it. I don't care. So I never said anything about it. I was pissed. I was fuming about it. I had always pushed back, and I'd always butted heads with my boss, right? Because my boss was maintaining 3 different campaigns, and he never spent any time with ours, which is another reason why I knew that we were going to go under, because he never spent any time with ours. But he had his favorites too, right? We used to have myself and 2 other individuals that started and built the campaign from the ground up. Those other 2 individuals got burnt out and left. And he brought in 2 of his favorites alongside me. So I already knew I was going to be on the out. Because there's no way they were going to pull me to a different campaign. Because, I did not. I bucked the company standard. I pushed back. I asked wrong think questions. So when news got out about the campaign closing, of course the other 2 people that were with me at that level, they pointed to me and said I did it when I didn't do it. And I got dragged into the office. And they said, "Oh, we're gonna have to let you go." Blah blah blah. I'm like, over what? And they said, "Oh, well, you leaked this information." I'm like, "No, I didn't." They're like, "Oh, well, we have information." I'm like, "Okay, well, what's the information?" "Oh, we can't share it with you." I'm like, "Oh, really? So you have nothing?" "Okay, you have nothing. If you had something, then you would be suing me." Bottom line. I'm like, "So you don't have any information about what was said. You don't have any information about who said what. You just have people saying that random shit." And they said, "Oh, well, it doesn't matter. You can't talk your way out of this." I'm like, "Okay." As far as I'm like, I already understand. I'm like, I had already at that point made the decision that I wasn't going to continue with the company after that moved, because we had the choice to either take severance or hopefully get a position within the company still. Based on the way that they were treating everybody, I had already made the decision that I was just going to take severance at the end of the 8 weeks. Or whatever it was. At the end of the 8 months. I'm like, I'm just going to take severance. Fuck this company. I'm going to do something else. So I was already at that point. I'm like, I didn't care. So they're like, no, it doesn't matter. We're just going to let you go. You can't. It doesn't matter what you say. Decision's already made. It's already final. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I let them know exactly what I thought. The high manager for our company was literally in the room, and I'm telling him off. I'm telling my boss off. And they're like, okay, well, we'll go get your stuff. And then they went and got my stuff, and there was like awkward 10 minutes of sitting there. 10 minutes of sitting there while they went and boxed my things up at the table. It was messed up. It's one of those things like you know that they want you gone. Like you just know it. And it's just an excuse to get you out the door. So they ended up giving me severance. They brought me into the office, by the way. They brought me into the office to ask me to sign a sheet to say that I'm waiving any legal right to sue them. In exchange that they would give me 4 more weeks of severance. I told them to shove it up their ass. They said, well, we're terminating you because of this, blah, 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 blah. And we want you to sign this paper saying that you can't sue us for wrongful termination. I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, but this is wrongful termination. They're like, well, no. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, that's not what this is. You have no proof of anything. And I'm like, I'm not signing fuck all. You can shove it up your ass. You can't handle the truth. Exactly. I ended up getting a good chunk of severance anyways, so it didn't matter to me. But I told them to shove it up their ass. I told them what I thought of them. Hello, Quentin. How you doing? It's good to see you, Quentin. I told them what I thought of them, and as a bonus to that, I mean, I guess to call to the integrity. As a call to the integrity, as soon as the manager that went down to pack up my shit and clean up my desk, as soon as that happened, half the floor left. Half the floor got off the phone and left. They quit on the spot. So, from what I heard, that campaign did not do very well at the very end because they just had people leaving left and right. So, there you have it. Why don't I have that up here? Oh, that's why I don't have that up there. Gotcha. I was wondering why that wasn't up there, because that's the little floaty emote things, but the floaty emote things are tied into the background, so that's why I don't have that up there. I'm boomering on the fly here. But yeah, so that was my experience with corporatisms. Because I did everything they asked for. I literally built the fucking ground up. I built that campaign for them, for my boss, who was off doing literally fucking everything else. Boomer, exactly. Literally everything else. And so that is the point where I decided, I'm like, okay, why am I building so much for other fucking people? Why am I doing so much to build shit for a fucking corporation when all at the end of the day they're going to do is turn around and say, we don't care about your defense in this. We just want you to go away. And that's what I see all the time. That's what I saw what happened to Ken. They don't care about everything that Ken has done. They don't care about all the money Ken has made for them. Same thing with Quentin. Same thing with Vic. They don't care all of the shit that they have changed for the industry, that they have brought to the table. They don't care. They just want you gone. And we're going to take a look. We're going to take a look into what these same people do when you're not looking. because they think they have impunity. There's a reason why they have these knee-jerk reactions. You called one of your company executives a sociopath. Hello, Gav. Sorry, you're late. Late and gay. Yesterday, so you're a little nervous. Stuff like this has been happening too often. How does it stop? It stops when people learn that these motherfucking things, these motherfucking corporations, don't care about you. Unfortunately, there's a lot of cogs out there. There's a lot of whales that will happily step into your position and get used until they reach that realization. It's a vicious circle, unfortunately. How does it stop? It stops when people stand up. It stops when people say enough is a fucking enough. 50 years ago, company loyalty used to mean something. Companies used to be loyal to their employees. You would get a job, you would work there for 50 years, you'd retire happily, and the company would reward you. Nowadays, you work for a company for 35 years, days before your retirement, they'll find a way to fire you so they don't have to pay you. That's the way it is now. That's the way it is now because there are so many people that are willing to throw themselves into the machine for an extra what? For an extra pizza day? For an extra back pat? The excuse is, oh, I have to pay my bills. How can I take care of my children? That's the excuse. It's laziness. It's short-sightedness. It's, well, I'm upset about all of these things, but I'm not going to do anything about it because it would jeopardize my position. What does that sound like? What does that sound like? Does it stop when when someone loses their job? Does it stop when someone gets sexually assaulted by one of these bosses or companies or someone at the company and that they sweep it under the rug? Does it stop when someone gets put in the ground? I guess we're going to find out with Activision, right? I guess we're going to find out with Activision. We're going to go through this right now. And then we're going to look at the court document. But a broken clock is right twice a day, and at least Kotaku wrote 2 good articles. Can we 180 this stream and discuss the abomination of the Masters of the Universe? Oh my god, what an absolute dumpster fire! But earlier this month, Activision Blizzard was asked to institute some version of the Rooney Rule. So this is basically forced diversity in hiring. Which, again, I don't agree with forced diversity because it just ruins synergy and it ruins the company's ability to actually do its, basically perform. But Activision Blizzard was requested to institute some sort of diversity rule. And their CEO was quoted as saying it would be an unworkable encroachment on the company's ability to run its business. So they said no. Now notice how Kotaku is kind of spinning this like, oh, the creators of Call of Duty and World of Warcraft, they're acting like it's some sort of male agenda thing here. Let's separate this real quickly. Number one, forced diversity is shit. All right? Regardless of gender, regardless of color, forced diversity is garbage. You would not walk into an all-black company and tell them they have to hire white people. You wouldn't walk into an all-Asian company and tell them they have to hire black people. Forced diversity is garbage. So stop it. It has nothing to do with a man or woman thing. It has nothing to do with a person of color thing. Stop it. Hire the right people for the fucking job that you're going to do, please. First of all. It has nothing to do with the fact that they made Call of Duty or World of Warcraft either. But in the same sense, companies, I'm talking to you, pay your fucking people appropriately, by the way. If you have a more talented female artist, pay her appropriately. If you have a more talented black artist, pay them appropriately. Don't be a fucking dick. So the largest federation of unions in the country, I don't know what the hell it is, which also happens to be a shareholder in Activision Blizzard, submitted this proposal to SEC. In the report obtained by Motherboard, the organization wrote instituting a policy similar to the Rooney Rule would increase workforce diversity by requiring initial pool of candidates from which new employees are hired by the company shall include, but not be limited to qualified women and minority candidates. But what? So hold on. Like, what's the point? But not need to be limited to. Okay, so you want to include the hiring pool of to include qualified women and minority candidates, but you don't need to limit it. Then why have the fucking diversity rule to begin with? Just brainless. You just want the fucking token. You just want the token out there. Yeah, exactly. Our workforce isn't diverse, but our characters are all non-binary demisexuals. Look how woke we are. Exactly. We need to walk into BET headquarters and force them to hire white people. That's a monk ass. Jesus Christ. That's a monk ass. So they go on to like beat themselves off. In accordance with standard procedures, EA Board of Directors will consider the stockholder proposal. Yeah, they're going to consider it all of like 0 seconds. They'll consider it all right, I'm sure. I mean, EA is the fucking company that brought in like the gay character. He's a great character in Dragon Age, mind you. Dragon Age Inquisition. They brought in the transgender character in Dragon Age Inquisition. They've brought in all that stuff. But it's never enough. It's never enough. It's never enough. The board is committed to maintaining hiring practices that promote inclusion and diversity at EA. More broadly, EA believes that a diverse and inclusive workforce is key to our success. Bullshit. Bullshit you do. Bullshit you do. Blah, blah, blah. Racial justice matters. Blah, blah, blah. So Activision says, today and always we support those who stand against racism and inequality. I'm sure you do. Activision Blizzard tweeted at the time, there is no place for Black Lives Matter. Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm sure they do. It don't matter enough, though, do it? It don't matter enough to pay them equally, right? This is all like bullshit. Oh, we're woke. Look at us. We're so woke. We're so super duper fucking woke. Look at us. Black Lives Matter. Only 3% of our workforce is black, though. Black Lives Matter. Less than a quarter women. I mean, the video game industry, I don't know how many women would actually want to work with a bunch of sweaty Cheeto nerds. I don't know. Still remember the EA Sports. It's in the game. All the buzzwords. Exactly. Just crank the buzzword generator. All right, so that's interesting, right? That's interesting, right? That was about January. Activision Blizzard saying that the policy to make hiring more diverse is unworkable. Let's fast forward to last week. They're just digging a hole for themselves. So I'm saying, I wanted to preface this by showing that, by how super duper fucking omega woke. Can we be woke enough and fire that Ken asshole? Ken, you missed me talking about you earlier. You want to, because you're a wrench. You can plug your donation stuff in there if you want. You're a wrench, so you should be able to. But I wanted to preface that by showing how absolutely omega super duper woke Activision is. You can't even buy the wokeness that Activision has. They're gonna fucking need all those. They're gonna need all those woke dollars though, all those woke coins. They're gonna need all those woke coins though. You can't jump on voice, but you thought you'd say hi real quick. Thank you so much, Ken. I appreciate you jumping in. Appreciate. Activision Blizzard sued by California. By the state of California, by the way. Over widespread harassment of women. So notice the trend here, right? Notice the trend here that in January they were told in January you have to change your policies to include more hiring diversity. Fucking 6 months later, now they're being sued for harassment of women. Right? Never enough for these people. Never enough for these people. But we're going to find out what happened. Because some of it is justified, right? So there's a content warning. There's a content warning on the article. An STD suing cancer for making it sick. Exactly. So it's the culmination of a 2-year investigation. So there was a 2-year investigation at Activision into the publisher by the department. So there's a department, California Department of Fair Employment and Housing. You get screwed over. The Irish always get screwed over. We always get screwed over. You kidding? Did you see the cages we got brought on over? We got brought over as slaves, for Christ's sake. People talk about all that nonsense. We get left out of the discrimination discussion too. People tend to forget that Irish were looked at lesser than human beings in the US, like not even 60 years ago. Like less than 100 years ago. They have women authors attack their male audience before, though. I don't know. It seems like this 2-year investigation, it seems like that was really interesting. That's when they started to force all these people in there. I'm a wagey, exactly. Yeah, we were lesser than human beings like about 100, like not even 100 years ago. So they were sued by they're being sued by the Department of Fair Employment and Housing over a frat boy workplace culture. So to enforce this is very interesting. It says that Activision Blizzard's compliance with California broad workplace protections is long overdue. Get in the wage cage. To enforce such compliance, the department brings the government enforcement action seeking remedy to prevent and deter Activision Blizzard's violation of states' civil rights and equal pay laws. This is very interesting. So this is interesting because the stuff that's going to be coming up in the court documents that we're going to find out. We're going to find out a lot of stuff about Activision Blizzard. My great-grandmother was an Irish indentured servant and she was beaten by her boss constantly. Absolutely. But we're white, so it doesn't count. Everyone tends to forget all of the literal slavery that Irish were put through. Literally being brought over in boats, in cages, in handcuffs, literally taking kids from families to be molested by priests. But hey, it's okay because we're white, right? That's the way it goes. Everyone tends to forget all this shit that the Irish went through because we don't bitch and complain about it. 83% Irish right here, by the way. So I get to bitch and complain about it. And and I can't say that word on YouTube, but yes, Nern, that as well. Absolutely disgusting stuff. That's a topic for another day. Indentured servitude is just a fancy word for slavery, by the way. About to dig a hole so deep they're going to fall into magma. Exactly, up until the 1970s in the UK, having like no black, no Irish, no dogs. Exactly. But you know, hey, because we're pasty white, it don't count anymore. Because like literally multiple countries. Yeah. Again, that'll be a topic for another day. While pointing out the lack of women in leadership positions, again, this does not matter unless you're talking about the women. There are women that deserve leadership positions that are actively being passed over. That doesn't matter. That shouldn't matter. The person with the better qualifications should be in the position. Period. Oh, I believe you, Gav. People think that the fucking racism against Irish and all that shit is just like, oh, that never happened. Literally, in some fucking cases, is worse than what happened to some Africans. And I'm not saying that ironically. Yes, what happened in the US with slavery, in the UK with slavery and all that shit was fucking terrible. They were treated like absolute animals. But so were the Irish. And it was okay. It was perfectly okay for a long time. And it doesn't get talked about because we're the same color. Never mind that it was the Irish that came over and fucking built the USA along with their along with their British counterparts. Never mind that. But then bringing Irish slaves over, literally paying them less than a human being to build all of the infrastructure of the United States and then treat them like shit. Literally not even allow the Irish workers who built the buildings to be permitted on the premises after they were built. I understand that there's a long, rich history of abuse of African Americans. There is just as much against Irish Americans, etc., and Irish in general. That doesn't get talked about. Ever. My grandfather was an orphan that got forcibly removed from Ireland, brought over to Newfoundland, and was molested by Catholic priests for years in a Catholic orphanage. We don't hear about that in history class, now do we? So yeah. Yo, Kyle Cowden, thank you so much for the $4.99. Super chat. I'm Scotch, Irish, Scotch, Irish, and Irish. Some of my ancestors were sent to Ireland during the Anglicizing under the oppression under Charles I. I am so sorry to hear that. There's so many stories like that. Should I have a whole show about it? I'm definitely gonna have a show about it. I'm fired up now. I'm fired up now. I'm gonna have a talk about it. I'm sorry your ancestors had to go through that. I'm sure my ancestors had to go through something similar. I'm trying to find out where my family history is. I literally just found out some family names so I can dig into that, but again, I'm getting super off topic. But thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Paddy Power, exactly. We're here to talk about the terribleness of Activision. That's gonna be a good topic next time, though. You don't remember it? Good. Good, you don't remember it. No, according to woke culture, though, we're entitled to like all the reparations in the world, though, Kyle. Irish power, right? Irish power. All right, so back to the topic of today. The suit also highlights enormous pay discrepancies at the executive level between women and men. Says that women are not only promoted more slowly, but they're terminated more quickly than their male counterparts. X to doubt. X to doubt. I would think that they're terminated more quickly. I would say that they're terminated based on actual things, because I can guarantee you the men get terminated without reason. Without reason. So, I will say that. I'll say that. I want my potatoes now. Company's frat boy workplace is also mentioned, breeding ground for harassment and discrimination against women. Some of the examples provided include, in the office, women are subjected to cube crawls, in which male employees drink copious amounts of alcohol as they crawl their way through various cubicles in the office and engage in inappropriate behavior towards the female employees. I think what they mean is like a pub crawl. And if people don't understand that terminology, it means when you go from bar to bar to bar to bar to bar. But the insinuation is that you've drank so much that you can't walk, so you're crawling from bar to bar, but it doesn't actually happen that way. Not literally crawling. It's just you're going from place to place to place to place to place. I think that's for those of you who are not familiar with the term. So I don't think that this is a weird allegation, because I don't think that at the office during work hours they would be drinking copious amounts of alcohol. I mean, I do believe that they would go from cubicle to cubicle. That is believable. But I don't think that they would actually like drink alcohol and then go from cubicle to cubicle. Male employees proudly come into work hungover. Irrelevant. It's irrelevant. They're not coming to work drunk. I mean, sure, okay. Play video games for long periods of time during work while delegating the responsibility to female employees. I think they would delegate the responsibility to their underlings, regardless of gender. But I mean, you're working at Activision. You're probably going to be spending most of your time playing video games, I would think. And when I worked for the call center, I never worked for the Xbox campaign, but Xbox was a campaign for my call center. Like we had Xbox support, and 90% of the time they were playing video games. We also had customer support for Rift. If anyone played that dead MMO, we had customer support for Rift, and they played Rift. They literally played the game to engage customer support. They were the mods playing the game and getting paid for it. This is what happens. I don't know if Kotaku can get this through their fucking soy brain. Original Xbox, yeah. Xbox and Xbox 360. If they can't get it through their fucking soy brain that video game companies, people let them play video games. Shocking, I know, because Kotaku doesn't, and they report on video games. It's amazing, but that's what happens. So, yeah, I believe that people at Activision played video games most of the day. Because that's what their fucking job is. What do you think they're going to fucking do? Like, again, Jesus Christ. Engage in banter about their sexual encounters. That's inappropriate. Yes, this is inappropriate. Talk openly about female bodies and joke about rape. Again, inappropriate. But, women do the same thing. They talk openly about men and other women at work. I hear it all the time. I heard it all the time. I think it is what it is. Female employees are subject to constant harassment, including having to fend off unwanted sexual comments and advances by their male coworkers and supervisors, being groped in cubicle crawls. I want to see evidence of this, because that just seems ridiculous. And other company events. High-ranking executives and creators engaged in blatant sexual harassment without repercussions. That I believe. That I 100% believe. In particular, tragic example of a female employee who committed an hero during a business trip with a male supervisor who had brought butt plugs and lubricant with him on. Why is he employed? Why is he still employed? I'm going to be reading the lawsuit, Milo. I have the lawsuit open in the next tab. This is just all prefacing what we're going to be reading here in just a few minutes. So, like, some of this stuff is like, it's ho-hum, but this shit right here, why was that allowed? Why is he employed? The suit also accuses Activision Blizzard of failing to act on numerous complaints. I believe that. Considering harassment, discrimination, and retaliation from male colleagues. Over the complaints, the employee said we were further discouraged from complaining as human resource personnel were known to be close to the alleged harassers. Human resources is not there for you. Let me say it for the people in the back. HR, human resources, are not there for you, the employee. They are there to make sure the company does not get sued. They have the company's best interest in mind, not yours. They never have, they never will. They are only there to make sure the company looks good. That's it. They're there to shut you up. They're there to appease you. They're there to make sure that you don't make the company look bad. That's what they're there for. I don't know where this idea where HR is like this magical catch-all where everyone in HR is there to be friendly and helpful to you. They don't fucking care about you. They don't give a fuck about you. I'm just going to zoom this up so you guys can see it. Oh my god, if I can like actually... Now I gotta fucking... This is terrible. It's terrible. I should have done this before. Let's see the stupid ads. But employees are the company. Yeah. Without them, the company. Here's the funny part. Corporations and companies, a lot of them, they don't look at employees as humans. Not everyone, just a lot of them. What the hell's in that in the background? Hold on. What the hell is that? Oh, why is that there? Weird. Oops. There we go. I don't know what that was doing there, but sure. Boomerang again. Here we go. Employees are not the company. Employees are replaceable. CEOs, a lot of CEOs, their job is not to make you happy or the employees happy. Their job is to make the shareholders and make the company the most amount of money. And fun fact, employees cost the company money. So you are the enemy. They don't want to pay you, largely. I'm not talking about good companies that actually pay living wages and things. Those CEOs get it. They understand, because happy employees mean that you don't have to waste money training new people every 6 weeks. Because people will want to work for you. And people will take less money to work for a company they enjoy working for, rather than people joining a company and demanding raises because they really don't want to fucking work there. The only reason they stay there is a paycheck. Forgot about that? The best example would be how Funimation reviewed Vic. Exactly. Employees are the enemy. They cost the company money. They will do everything in their power to get rid of you and replace you with 5 people for the same wage that collectively that they were paying you. As you go up in a company, and I'm talking about terrible companies. I'm talking about bad companies. I'm not talking about good companies. I'm talking about bad ones. As you go up the chain, as you earn more money, you become a bigger target. You become a bigger threat. You become a bigger liability. Because the more money you're costing the company, it looks worse. Even though the company could be making $67 billion a year. Because you're taking away more money, they could be making $67 billion in $3. But you're working for them. So if they have a chance to remove you and replace you with 5 people for less than they were paying you, they'll do it. They want controllable assets. They want controllable assets. So the suit also accuses Activision Blizzard of we read that. Activision has responded to the department's suit with a lengthy statement. This part made me so fucking happy. This part made me so fucking happy to read. And you're going to find out why as we go through this. We value diversity and strive to foster a workplace that offers inclusivity for everyone. X to doubt. You put up the posters telling everybody that you value diversity. You put up the rainbow flag every July and take it down, or every June and take it down every July. You every February pretend like you care about black people. You do the bare minimum to feign interest in anything remotely woke. You don't value diversity or foster a workplace of inclusivity. That much is fucking clear. There is no place in our company or industry or any industry for sexual misconduct or harassment of any kind. Really? Well, keep building that wall with all those bricks, Activision. We take every allegation seriously and investigate all claims. No, you don't. No, you fucking do not. You don't investigate fuck all. You investigate the back of your eyelids. That's what you investigate. In cases related to misconduct, action was taken to address it. Dude, we sacrificed to the woke mob. We totally did it. Like, why? What are you doing? Like, we were woke, dude. What more do you want from us? We threw people under the bus. We got rid of people. What do you want from us? In every case of misconduct, like, we totally sacrificed a body. The department includes distorted and in many cases false descriptions of Blizzard's past. Oh, sucks, doesn't it? Wow, what a fucking shame. What a fucking shame that someone would make up shit about you and then, bring it to reality. That really fucking sucks, doesn't it? Now you have to deal with that. Huh. We've been extremely cooperative. I don't know how you can be extremely cooperative without, like, preemptively bending over and spreading your ass cheeks. Through their investigation, providing them extensive data and ample documentation. Provide them with facts. Don't provide them with bullshit, first of all. Gee, I wonder what that's like exactly. Provide them with facts and not your fucking fluffed bullshit, Activision. But they refuse to inform us of what issues they perceived. Where have I heard that before? They refused to inform us what issues they perceived. Wow. Fucking sucks, doesn't it, Activision? Really sucks, doesn't it? When you're not told what you're doing wrong, when you're not told what you're being persecuted for, wow. Wonder who did that. They were required by law to adequately investigate and have good faith discussions with us. So were fucking you. So were you. And you didn't do it with anybody. You ran and you hid behind company policies, you fucking cowards. You fucking cowards replaced people, you fired people, you put people into the fucking ground because you were required by law to uphold your end of the fucking bargain and you didn't do it. Eat shit. We're sickened and reprehensible by our own conduct. Oh, to drag the complaint of the tragic suicide of the employee. There was no bearing on this case. We'll find out. We'll find out. I'm sure a trial jury will disagree with you, Activision. Considering you did fuck all for that family too, I'm sure. Good job putting it into writing, though. Yeah. Smear them, right? Well, nothing like the facts. Nothing like disputing what is being accused of you with facts. No, we have to discredit and smear. We have to discredit and smear the people that are taking action against us. Oh, yeah. And then threaten to take your business out of California. Yeah. Good. Very, very good. Perfect. Applaud. Applaud. Don't hold back, Graham. Tell us how you really feel. Absolutely, Kyle. I can't fucking stand companies like this. No, yeah, we're gonna take our business and we're gonna go home. This letter's gonna fucking sink them in court, by the way. This letter is gonna fucking sink them in court. Oh yeah, the picture is not the Blizzard workplace of today, really. Yeah, you've woked so hard. You've woked so fucking hard. Like, you can't even hold all this woke that you have. It's changed so much. We've done so many woke things. We've done all the woke things. Yeah, I'm sure you have. I'm sure all those woke coins are going to buy you a great lawyer, too. Yeah, look at all the woke things. We've updated our code of conduct to emphasize a strict non-retaliation focus. That should have been there to begin with. Amplified internal programs and channels for employees to report violations. That should have been there to begin with. The ask list. With a confidential integrity hotline. Yeah. Again, should have been there to begin with. Introduced an employee relations team. Yeah, an employee appeasement team. An employee silencing team. We have strengthened commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and combined our employee networks on a global level. Did you not just in January of this year say that diversity would impair your ability to run the business? Did you not just say that? That we just read like 20 minutes ago. That you just said that you couldn't afford to have forced diversity because it would impede your ability to run a business. But you've strengthened your commitment to diversity. Employees must also undergo regular anti-harassment training and have done so for many years. Yeah, we're forcibly beating shit into our employees' head. And like this means nothing, by the way. This means nothing. It's like, "Oh, watch this 15-minute video about anti-harassment. Don't harass people now." It means nothing when you don't back it up with anything. We put tremendous effort in creating fair, rewarding compensation packages and policies that reflect our culture, business, and we strive to pay all. Yeah, you strive, you don't actually do it, though. Fairly or equally for substantially similar work. Substantially similar work. Yeah, so you're fully buzzword business admitting that you pay people differently. This is going to get ripped to fucking shreds in court. The link is unclickable. I mean this one? I can't. Are you talking about this link? Or are you talking about a different link? I don't know if there's another link. I didn't see one. We all know it's the white man's fault, exactly. It's clicking for you? Okay. Yeah, somebody donated earlier, so that link is clickable. We're confident in our ability to demonstrate our practices as an equal opportunity employer that fosters a supportive fucking lie. Oh, look up Young, yeah? Oh, that dude, yeah. I know him. Oh, so it was a different link you're talking about. He made a video about the ex-CEO of Blizzard. Yeah. Before he went completely woke voice actor. It's a shame that it's a shame that the department didn't want to engage on us with what they thought they were seeing in their investigation. What they thought they were seeing in their investigation. Huh. Well, let's take a look, shall we? Let's take a look, shall we? Oh, what's this? A shame. In the Superior Court of the State of California and for the County of Los Angeles. Jury trial demanded. We're going to skip a lot of this lawsy stuff. This is gaslighting, absolutely. It's corporate speak bullshit. They're fully admitting to everything in corporate speak, by the way. They're going to get fucking railed in court over this. They're going to get fucking railed in court. This is bullshit about Activision, yada yada. We just care about the facts here, right? We don't care about them filleting Activision. They're talking up like their biggest whatever else. Unlike its customer service base, increasingly defendants' workforce is about 20% women, which is more than most. Its top leadership is also exclusively male and white. Fucking terrible, right? They're guilty of being white. You know how many lawsuits you've read? Please, no more. Don't worry. We're gonna speed through this. We're only gonna go through it for a few things. CEO and president roles are now and always have been held by white men. White men. Very few women ever reach the top roles of the company. How terrible. The women who do reach higher roles earn less salary, incentive pay, and total compensation than their male peers, as evidenced by the defendants in their own record. This is so fucking satisfying because Activision Blizzard have been the fucking wokest pieces of shit in like the past fucking 20 years. They're so ridiculously woke and they're getting eaten alive by their own fucking creation. It's so delicious. It is so delicious. Exactly. By logic, most employees would be white. Welcome back, Tom. You missed out on my rants. Like the executive ranks, women across the company are assigned to lower paid and lower opportunity levels. Female employees receive lower starting pay. That is like... that doesn't even make any sense. That shit doesn't even make any sense. Like, how can that even exist still? This isn't the fucking 1920s. Like, minimum wage is minimum wage across the board, and like entry level wages for most companies should be the same across the board regardless. It sounds to me like, and this is not an insult. It sounds to me as though there are people out there that take lower wages just to get into the company. They do that intentionally. That's what it sounds like to me. But I mean, it doesn't look good from a legal perspective, of course. Here we go. The meat and potatoes. Defendants have fostered a pervasive frat boy workplace culture that continues to thrive. Can this get bigger? And you guys can actually see this. In the office, women are subjected to cube crawls. Again, like, I don't understand where this... Like, I want to see evidence of this. I want to see evidence of that. Unsurprisingly, defendants' frat boy culture is a breeding ground for harassment and discrimination against women. Female employees are subjected to constant harassment at the defend off, blah, 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 blah. We've already read that before. Tragic employee of the female committing and hero. Frat boy, toga, toga, toga. Numerous complaints about unlawful harassment, discrimination, retaliation were made to the defendant's human resources personnel and executives, including Blizzard Entertainment's president J. Allen Brack, but defendants failed to take effective remedial measures. I want to see what measures they did take, because it says effective. I don't know if they took any at all, but it says effective in response to these complaints. Employees were further discouraged from complaining as human resource personnel were known to be close to alleged harassers. That's common. HR should be separate and should be separated from these people, but they generally aren't. An internal investigation into human resource unit noted there was a big lack of trust. HR not held in high regard. Unsurprising. Employees' complaints were treated in perfunctory and dismissive manner and not kept confidential. Again, not fucking surprising. This is something that happens all the fucking time. As a result of these complaints, female employees were subjected to retaliation, including but not limited to deprived of work on projects, unwillingly transferred to different units, and selected for layoffs. Wow! Isn't that fucking funny? Isn't that fucking funny? Find ways to get rid of a person without actually breaking the fucking law. How about we update the fucking laws to change that? So that you can't just quietly replace somebody or just not renew a contract. Huh. Amazing. Amazing. Well, they're selected for layoffs, yep. Yeah, plaintiff, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's go back down to actual interesting shit, because this stuff, I'm sure other people that do law stuff will actually care about and read. So this is they're establishing that Activision is an employer, that blah, 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 blah. Defendants, does 1 through 10. Inclusive are sued here in the civil procedure. Oh, interesting. That's okay. Procedural history. Corporates and re-alleges that all previous allegations are fully set forth herein. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Does this start getting into good? Okay, that's just procedural. After more than 2 years of investigation, the department issued a cause finding on June 24th, 2021. In the course of the investigation, the department found evidence that defendants discriminated against female employees in terms of conditions of employment, including compensation, assignment, promotion, termination, constructive discharge, and retaliation. The department's investigation also found out that female employees were subjected to sexual harassment. The department's investigation found that the defendants failed to take all reasonable steps to prevent unlawful discrimination, harassment, or retaliation. Fancy that. Fancy that. Huh. Lastly, department investigation found that defendants had committed violations of labor code in paying female employees less than their male counterparts for substantially similar work. Claims are alleged and or reasonably related to claims originally alleged in the director's complaints. This is funny. The department attempted to resolve this matter without litigation. So Activision Blizzard said they didn't. They claimed that they did not actually attempt to resolve it without litigation. Prior to filing the civil action, the department required all parties to participate in a mandatory dispute resolution in the department's internal dispute resolution division, free of charge to the parties in an effort to resolve the dispute without litigation. Specifically, the department invited defendants to participate in mediation sessions with the department's internal dispute resolution division on July 1st, 2nd, and 15th, 2021, but the parties were unable to resolve the administrative complaints. I want to fucking see that mediation. Oh my god. I want to read that mediation so bad. It's probably sealed though. In the case of failure to eliminate an unlawful practice through conference, conciliation, mediation, and persuasion, or advance thereof if circumstances warrant, the department may bring civil action in the name of the department in federal, state courts, which they have. So they went through mediation on 3 separate occasions. Curiously, Activision failed to mention that. Activision stated that they didn't take any actions. So that'll be funny to see in court. That'll be funny to see them worm their way through that. All administrative blah, blah, blah. By operation of a signed agreement between the parties, the deadline to file a civil complaint is July 21st. They filed before that, I think. Government enforcement actions, allegations. Seek relief, yada yada. Pursuant to such statutory authorities, the director filed and gave notice. Burn the witch. Filed and gave notice to the defendants, yada yada. This is just procedural shit. Brings representative. Factual allegations. Here we go. Factual allegations. Sex discrimination, pay assignment, promotion, termination, and constructive discharge. Ooh. I can't wait. I can't wait for this. Can't wait for this. Defendants have engaged in and continue to perpetuate discriminatory practices regarding pay assignment, promotion, and other terms and conditions of employment which negatively affect and impact female employees. They made somebody big mad. They made somebody big fucking mad. They were told that they had to have better diversity hirings. And Activision said, nah, bruh. So that's probably the thing that tipped the scales. Likely the thing that tipped the scales. These discriminatory practices began at hire when women were offered lower compensation and less lucrative job assignments and opportunities than their male counterparts. Defendants, this is also subjective. This is a thing of like, you could also argue that these individuals that took the lower paying job did so, what the hell's I'm trying to say? They did so intentionally because they wanted to get into the job, right? It's like if as a free agent, right? If as a free agent you go and you want to sign with a team, and your asking price for teams is $7 million, but that's too much money, so you take $5 million. Oh, you took $2 million less than everybody else, and blah 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 blah. But you wanted to play for that team. Same sort of thing here. Maybe they took less money because they wanted to work for Activision, and that guaranteed them a spot. It's not right. I don't think it's correct, but that might be what happened here. We don't know. Activision Blizzard pissed off California, exactly. We don't know. Hopefully we'll find out. I really hope for Activision's sake, I really hope that they're not just offering women like $2 less an hour for because that would be really fucking embarrassing. That would be really fucking embarrassing. Because there might be situations like, well, you know, like we can't afford to get you on here, but you know, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, I'll take $10 an hour instead of $15. Like, oh, okay, if you really want to do that. But that might be constraints outside of gender lines, right? Because maybe a woman is willing to do that, but a man's not willing to do it, right? Or what have you. Because most men would just be like, well, I'm not getting 15. Fine, see, I'll go find some place that gets 15. But some woman might be like, well, I have to take care of myself. I have to do this. I have to do that. I'll take a lower paying job just to get it. Like I'll take a lower pay just to do it. Comes down to that. It might not necessarily be the company drawing a gender line, but if they flat out be like, we pay men $17 an hour, we pay women $15 an hour, then that company is going to get fucked. Like that company is going to get fucked if that's the way it is. But I think it's kind of an unfair thing to be like, oh well, women have less pay, because like if you're intentionally taking less pay, then you're putting yourself in that position, unfortunately. That's a different topic. Pay disparity continued throughout employment for female employees. Defendants paid female employees significantly less than their male counterparts after hire. This pattern or practice and violations were continuing. Again, this is kind of an ambiguous thing, because again, if your wage started off at 12 and someone else's wage started off at 15, you're always going to have a pay disparity between the two of them, unless one person just refuses to take raises. It's the way it goes. Everyone has a camera with them these days. You'd be surprised if none of these assertions have corroborating audio video. I would fucking bet that there are. I would hope so. Exactly. A company that size needs more frequent compensation reviews. Absolutely agree. Women were also afforded less stock and incentive pay opportunities. That's really stupid too. Female employees were overwhelmingly assigned to lower grades / levels without stock and incentive pay opportunities with less opportunities. Female employees also received less stock initiatives and less stock incentive compensation than male employees. This pattern of practice and the violations were continuing. Again, I need to see if this was forced by the company or forced by the employee. Because if female employees are choosing to apply for jobs that don't have these particular bonuses or benefits, then that's not on the job. That's on the employee. So again, this one I can't really get behind. You started a job at $10 an hour. They raised everyone to $12 4 years later when you were making $12.50. Brutal. I mean, that happens. I mean, like at some jobs when the minimum wage raises, like the starting wage is like $15 an hour or whatever. Starting wage was like $14 an hour, and then you work for like 2 years, and then you finally get your wage to $15 an hour, and then everyone else gets their wage bumped up to $15 an hour. It's kind of a slap in the face. Like, it's one of those things. Like, I've been through many of those situations myself where I've literally worked at a company for 3 or 4 years and then made exactly the same starting wage. Like, made exactly the same wage as people who just started yesterday. Like, it's happened, and it sucks. Good companies will bump up everybody. Wait, you guys get raises? Good companies will bump up everybody. Bad companies will just spit in your face. At the call center, that basically happened. Like, I was working at the call center and barely got any raises at all. We got raised. I think we got raised to. Like, I was making like $14 an hour when the starting wage was like $12, and then minimum wage got raised to $14, and they didn't raise anybody who was already making $14. They're like, "Oh no, you don't need to get raised because you're already making that. We don't have to raise you." Okay. I knew people that were making $13.75 got raised to $14, and then they got their hours reset for their wage increase, which they would have made making like $14.50, but no, they had to wait another like year and a half. You ask for more pay the second someone makes you do additional work? Absolutely, 100%. Within your right. Women are steered towards lower levels of defendants' hierarchy and have had to work harder and longer to earn equal promotion and opportunities as their male counterparts. Kind of subjective. I mean, again, I need to see proof of that, but As an example, okay, so there's an example. A female employee working for Blizzard was assigned to a lower level role, denied equal pay, subsequently sought promotion because she'd been carrying out duties exceeding her job description. She was repeatedly told it was not her turn and others deserved a promotion ahead of her. I believe that. I believe this because it happens all the fucking time. Never, 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 never do duties beyond your station. Ever. Unless you're being paid for it. Never fucking do it. Don't donate your time. Don't donate your effort. Don't donate anything at fucking all. Get paid for it. Because the second that you step out and that you do more than your station, then you're expected to do that. Period. I have seen it happen so many fucking times to so many good people where they want to go out and they want to impress so hard, so they take on all of these other responsibilities, and they're getting paid the rest as everybody else, but they're doing a fucking manager's job. Never work for free. Never, never, never work for free. I saw people donate their fucking time outside of work. They did hours upon hours upon hours of community service just to get a promotion that they could never get because it was always somebody else's. Always somebody else's promotion. It was, oh, you're too valuable in our department for us to promote you. Fuck you. Never, ever, ever do work beyond your station. These companies do not fucking care about you. They don't care about you. If you're going to do the job of 3 people for the price of 1, they're more than happy to throw work on you and fluff you up and make you feel like you're going somewhere. They will fucking do that all fucking day. But when the day comes, when it's time to pay the price, when it's time to give you a promotion, it's never going to fucking happen because it's going to somebody else. Never fucking do more work than what you're getting paid for, because it will always bite you in the ass. Because the second that you stop doing it, oh well, you're a trouble employee. Oh well, you used to be so good for the company, you used to do all this stuff, and now you just don't put in as much effort anymore. Never fucking do that. I will slap a bitch if I see them doing that. Ultimately, the employee was promoted after 3 years, while her male counterpart was promoted within a year of his hire, despite having started several months after her. Her male counterpart was also assigned leadership responsibilities, which she was not afforded for, responsibilities which furthered the male employee's ability to get promoted. So this part here, I would say, is 100% on her, because very, very likely in this situation, she did a lot of favors for people, and I'm not talking about sexual favors. I'm talking about, I'll do that work for you. I'll file that report. I'll submit this. I'll email that for you. I'll run this down there. She did all of this extra work, but took no credit for it. She did not take credit. I guarantee you she did not take credit for it. And that made her male counterpart look better because he was passing on things for her to do, and he was taking credit for her work. I guarantee you that's what happened. Shit happens all the time. Inner office politics. Never fucking do work for free. Always take credit for the shit that you do. Always take credit for the shit that you do. In another example, a female employee who worked with Blizzard Entertainment was assigned to a lower level and denied equal pay and passed over promotion, despite multiple factors that suggested she earned it. Highly rated performance reviews. She generated significantly more revenue in her marketing campaigns than her male counterpart. That's her problem. Number 2 is the reason why she did not get the promotion. Guarantee. She's too valuable for the department. She is too valuable. She generated more revenue in her marketing campaigns than anybody else. That is too much. That is too much to give up. That's why she didn't get the promotion. I guarantee it. She ran twice as many campaigns as her male counterpart. Again, she was too valuable for her department. Despite her accomplishments, her male counterpart was invited to have a monthly or weekly one-on-one meeting with the vice president. She was not afforded these same opportunities and was passed over for a promotion in favor of her male counterpart. Then ask for those meetings. Insert yourself, say, I want this. I want this. Women out there, I understand that it's difficult to get away from that wallflower mentality, right? When we're talking about businesses, when we're talking about companies, you have to stand up and make yourself known. You have to say, I deserve this. Because when you act like a doormat, which I can guarantee you in this situation she did, she just let people walk over her. Even though she was qualified and she was the hardest worker and she was the most qualified and whatever else. Even though she was all of these things, I guarantee you she saw these things happening. Obviously she saw that he was getting meetings. She did not go to her boss and say, I would like a meeting like that person's getting. I would like to talk to that person. Whether it's because she was too busy, or she didn't think of it, or she didn't want to rock the boat or ruffle feathers, you have to step up for yourself. No one else is going to do it for you. Especially when you're in a company or in a position or in an industry where it's competitive. Women, I am talking to you. If you want these things, you have to action on them. You can't just let it go by, because direct intervention is the way to do it. Not passively, not socially. That will only get you so far. You have to be willing to reach out and grab it. You have to be willing to do it. Because I can guarantee you there's no one out there that's going to push you there. I am one of those managers, by the way, that will go out and tell people, I think you should apply for this. I see what you do. I think you should apply for this. I think you should go for this. I think you should do that. I have done that multiple times, regardless of gender, regardless of color. I have told women that. I have told black women that. I have told white men that. I have told everybody that I think that should be in a position where they're sitting there wasting their fucking life in some dead end position. I say, you have so much bucking talent. I think you need to go here. I think this position's open. This is here. I think that you're a very good candidate for it. You should apply for it. There's not many managers like me out there. Because most managers have their head so far up their ass, they're sniffing the CEO. Because most managers aren't thinking about their position, they're thinking about 2 positions ahead. They don't see their people. I'm a person that lives in that moment. I don't care about getting promotions. I don't care about working my way up the corporate ladder because that shit's garbage. I understand there's got to be chiefs and there's got to be Indians. But 100%, if I see somebody out there that is super fucking talented, I will tell them, I think you should do this, regardless of color, regardless of gender. One of the most talented fucking people I had was a young black girl. And I pushed her so fucking hard because she was acting like an idiot. And getting herself along the line where she was going to get terminated based on her actions. Basically being a complete idiot, being unprofessional. Because she's young. I was hard on her, but I was also fair on her. And I had a lot of heart-to-hearts with her. And I told her exactly, I thought her potential was super high. And I worked with her. I didn't just throw her off. And I did it because of the person she was, not because of her skin color, not because of what was in her pants. But because of the person that she was. And she made me fucking proud because she got a fucking job in her field and she is successful. And she said that, when it was the happiest day of my life when she gave that resignation to me with a smile, and she said thank you, because no one ever in her fucking life, no boss ever treated her like I did, and that's what she said I needed to be treated like that. She said I needed to be pushed, I needed to be led, and you're the first person to do that. And she got a job in her fucking field. I think she's working in Ottawa now. She's working for the government. But she's got a job for what she went to school for. And she's successful. She's married. She's happy. And I couldn't be more fucking proud of her. And that was because of the person, not because of the color, not because of the gender. That's what bosses should be. That's what my first boss taught me. That's what the value that was installed in my brain. She's a glowy. And that's what bosses should be doing. That's what bosses and CEOs should be doing. They should be building people. They're building the next generation of people. But the reality is, that's not where we are. The reality is that we have to, as employees, fight tooth and nail for everything that we have and not give a fucking cent back to these companies, because they are blood-sucking. They are life-sucking. This is just one fucking example of it right here. Similarly, other female employees at Blizzard were assigned to lower-level roles, denied equal pay, and further delayed or passed over for promotions in favor of male counterparts. Again, I think this is largely because most women in workplaces feel like they can't rustle the jimmies. Bottom line, people, there are 1,000 fucking places you can work. If a company is not willing to invest in you, don't invest in the company. If you rustle the jimmies of a company and they terminate you, they're doing you a favor. I have shaken the tree of most companies I've worked for. I shook the tree of the call center and they got rid of me. I shook the tree of my current employer and they thanked me. And my doing what I did with my current employer made life better for everybody else in my situation. Which there are a lot of people in my situation at my job currently, by the way. So, if you are not being invested in by your employer, they don't deserve you. Kevin Smith's going live for the first time and they've turned off the live chats. That's funny. What a fucking coward. What if they're better than me at the job? Exactly. A newly promoted male supervisor delegated his responsibilities to a now female subordinates in favor of playing Call of Duty. I mean, that's likely a normal thing. Most management do delegate their responsibilities. If that's the job, that's the job. If your job is to do what your supervisor or manager tells you to do, that's your job, sorry. If they get to play Call of Duty, hey, that's the job. Other male supervisors would refuse to communicate with female employees, going to their male counterparts for information. In the Me Too era, I don't blame them. I mean, it is what it is, right? We're in this situation where, like, yeah, I mean, men are likely not comfortable talking to women at the workplace anymore. Exactly. If they fire you over asking to be paid fairly, then be happy. Be happy you no longer work for slave traders. Female employees at Activision were also assigned to lower level roles, denied equal pay, delayed or passed over for promotions for their male counterparts. As an example, a female human resource employee at Activision Publishing was delayed and passed over for a promotion despite receiving positive performance reviews, doing more substantial work. Where does this fit? She's too valuable, right? You have two people who are relatively equally qualified, right? One person's doing much more substantial work than the other person. You need to replace all of that work that person's doing if you promote them. What are you going to do? Well, the company's going to go with the easiest thing, right? If replacing the person that does a ton more fucking work than the other person is going to cost the company more, they're going to go with the less cost. Don't do more than what you're paid to do. Period. Unless you have it in writing that this is going to lead to a position, don't fucking do it. And taking over the actual responsibilities of the departing person. Again, this is textbook. Stop accepting these responsibilities. Just stop it. If they fire you for it, then they've done you a favor because they have handed you a wrongful termination suit. Female accounting employees at Activision Publishing likewise note that male counterparts were paid significantly more than them, despite doing the same or less work or having less responsibilities. Again, this comes down to the mentality between men and women. Men go into work and they will do whatever's put in front of them. And that's it. They won't go out of their way to take on more. Generally, they won't go out of their way to do more responsibility, whatever else, blah, 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 blah. They'll come in, do their work, go home. Women seem to have this tendency to, I'll take that on, I'll do that too, I'll take that on, I'll take that on. And then when that doesn't reciprocate with increased pay or increased responsibility or whatever else, we take that as a negative. When in reality, you're shooting yourself. You are adding things onto yourself and weighing yourself down. Stop doing it. Don't do it anymore. Yeah, exactly. They can always make up some bullshit to justify a termination. But that's why that law should be fixed. Because there are far too many loopholes. In general, female employees were treated with negativity due to their pregnancies. Supervisors ignored medical restrictions given to female employees and gave them negative evaluations while they were out on maternity leave. That's straight ass documented, and that should be 100% taken up. Now, I think in general, companies are shit at following medical restrictions. Every company I have ever worked for treat medical restrictions like it's the fucking plague. They hate them so much. They hate having to be put through any sort of fucking effort whatsoever. Like, oh my God, I have to do all of this stuff because this person has medical restrictions. Literally, if your doctor says you're not allowed to stand for more than 10 minutes at a time, and your company's like, oh my God, I can't believe we have to accommodate that. It happens a lot. And it's not restricted to gender. It's not restricted to gender at all. Amazon's bad for it. They don't even let people take bathroom breaks. Other female employees reported that they were criticized for leaving to pick up their children from daycare while their male counterparts were playing video games. That is not the employer's responsibility. Fucking full stop. There's some parts of this that really piss me off. Some parts are justified, some parts piss me off. Women, please. You do not... Same thing goes for smokers, by the way. You do not get some special exemption from the rest of the fucking world because you decided to have a child. You don't get some special exemption because you decided to have a nicotine addiction. You don't get to fuck over every single one of your coworkers because of a life decision that you made. If it's your job to be there from, say, 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m., and your children get out of daycare at 3 p.m., then it is your responsibility to figure out if your husband or boyfriend or significant other or something goes and picks them up. It's your job to coordinate that. It's not your employer's job to coordinate that. There are some things I will give leniency for the employer for. That is one of them. Other female employees, blah, 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 were playing video games, and female employees were kicked out of lactation rooms so employees could use the rooms for meetings. That's really dumb. That part is stupid. I've seen so many times, and Samantha, I've seen so many fucking times where people take fucking 10 to 20 smoke breaks a day. They'll just, especially at the call center, when it's busy, they'll just like pop their phone into whatever. They'll walk outside, have a smoke break for 2 minutes, come back in. I'm like, oh, well, I have 30 minutes of breaks, so I can use 2 minutes at a time. That's not how it works. Shit is scheduled for a reason, so you're not putting undue fucking stress on literally everybody. Are they bringing the baby to work? It sounds like it. Like lactation rooms. Like, I don't know. I guess it's the situation where like you're not necessarily breastfeeding anymore, but you're still lactating, so you have to go and pump it out. Because from what I understand, it really fucking hurts. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't have mommy milkers, so I can't tell you. There's a refrigerator. I don't understand. Women of color were particularly vulnerable against targets of discriminatory practices. An African-American employee noted that it took her 2 years to be made a permanent employee, while men hired after her were made permanent employees. Okay. This is also subjective, because if you're hired on his contract, you're hired on a seasonal, there is no guarantee that you're going to get made permanent. There is also no guarantee because largely, and I've seen this happen a lot with contract and seasonal workers. I'm not saying this is what happened here, but they will not. I see it a lot where these people will not apply for part-time, or they will not apply for anything beyond this very tiny, small niche thing that they want. They want like full-time, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, ba da ba da ba, bee bee ba boo boo. And if they don't get that, they don't apply for it. Meanwhile, it's like if there is a permanent position, if there's a permanent part-time, permanent full-time position that like has off hours, that has off days off, it's available. They don't apply for it because it's not what they want. So it takes them years to get a permanent position but because they don't get exactly what they want right then, it's somebody else's fault. When you have people who are willing to work those come in and get permanent positions. So this I can't really get behind. Because I don't think it's, in my history, in multiple different companies, this has been the case 99.9% of the time. Is that this person had multiple opportunities to get permanent employment, but they wanted something really, really small, niche specific. Exactly. Your mom's a manager, and people always be like, "I can only work 2 nights a week," and then why won't you promote me? Exactly. They have like no availability. Like, oh, I have to have Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays, and Fridays off. I can only work 6 hours a day. I can only work these days, not these days, and this. I can only work summers and not winters. But they want permanent positions. I have to be off every day at 3:00 so I can be with my kids all the time. I hate people using children as a crutch. I hate it so fucking much. I really do. Like, I understand that you want to take care of your family. That's fine. Find a job that will accommodate you. I can only work in microgravity. Find a job that will accommodate you. Don't force current jobs or your current employer to accommodate you when you accepted that position under certain circumstances, and then and blame the job when they won't bend to your changing circumstances. Because the fact of the matter is, you're not fucking the job over, you're fucking everyone else who works with you. Because if you can't work Saturdays and Sundays, that means that other people have to. And they don't matter to you because you have kids, right? So that shit I can't stand. That shit just pisses me right off. She was also micromanaged such that her male coworkers were known to be playing video games without any intervention by her supervisor. It sounds like it's a common thing to do at Activision, is play video games. I don't know why this is such a point of contention. I understand if the women that get hired on at Activision don't play Call of Duty. I get it. I really, really understand that. But you're working at a company that is literally made Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, League of Legends, like all of these things. They're literally video game companies. And because you don't play video games and the company allows video games to be played, does not mean that your male coworkers who play video games are doing a bad thing. Get that through your head. Maybe don't work for a video game company if you don't like video games. Exactly. All it takes is one person to screw everything up. You take one person out of the equation, you fuck up the entire schedule. I don't know what Activision's workplace is like. I don't know if they allow people to play video games openly. If they do, it's a really stupid fucking thing to be mad that people are playing video games at your workplace that allows people to play video games. Like I said, when I worked at the call center, the people that were at the bank campaign, we weren't even allowed to have paint open on our computer. We had to be staring at a computer the entire day. We were not even allowed to play solitaire on the computer during downtimes. Nothing at all. While people 2 stories down from us were playing on Xboxes and playing on MOBAs and MMOs all day. That's the job. Do I complain about that? Do I complain because I can't go downstairs and play Rift for 4 hours? No, that's the job they were hired to do. I was hired to be on a bank and do this bank stuff and be professional and everything else like that. I was not allowed to do stuff on my computer. I was not allowed to look at the internet. People downstairs were allowed to look at the internet because that's their campaign and that's what they were doing. Am I going to say that that's unfairly enforced? No. That's the fucking job. That's what it is. So, like, don't complain about the job that you willingly applied for. Her supervisor would call and check on her if she took a break to go on a walk. What? Is that micromanaging? Is that micromanaging? And the supervisor would call in on her and make sure that she had her break? I'm confused. I'm really confused. Another African American employee. I mean, that sounds like, you know, them looking out for your best interest, but another African American employee who worked on information technology was similarly micromanaged by her manager, unlike the men on her team. When she requested time off of work, her manager... I understand why they're phrasing it this way. Exactly. You may as well, like, complain about working in a strip club and then having to take their clothing off. I didn't sign up for this. Actually, you did. When she requested her time off work, her manager made her write a one-page summary of how she would spend the time off of work. That's overreaching. And that's also really stupid. The male super... And, like, that's like, obviously criminal. Like, that's obviously not legal. It's cartoonishly wrong. The male supervisor also criticized her body language despite male counterparts slouching in meetings. She was scolded for asking for assistance while others could get help on similar tasks without the same criticism. This is subjective. This is subjective because this is also not telling context. She could be asking for assistance on every single little thing that she does. I've had employees do this, by the way. Literally, we have, back in the call center, we had a thing called Knowledge, right? We had Knowledge, which was a resource website. And everything that you could possibly know or need to know was on Knowledge. And so I constantly had employees pause the call, come up to me, and ask me a question that was basic, clear, and clearly on Knowledge. And so after being asked 57 times, it's Knowledge is like a resource website for the job that I was in. So it's basically like a Google, but it's like an internal Google. So it's like, how do I do a wire transfer? And then it would tell you step by step how to do whatever you're asking. It was like an internal Google, but basically that's what it was. And after being asked 57 times, you know it's not a fucking, it's not a, you know it's a problem. You know they're doing it intentionally at that point. I know I'm explaining for other people that might not understand. Milo. It's intentional at that point. It's call avoidance at that point. They want to waste as much time as possible. I don't know. What's the answer to this? I don't know. Oh, I didn't think to look there. You've been working here for 5 years, of course. Of course you knew. Of course you knew. Like, you're just, you wanting everyone else to do your job for you. And it gets frustrating. That's what it comes down to. It gets frustrating as a manager, as a supervisor, when you see someone continually, intentionally being ignorant. So that, I think, is not a fair thing. And criticizing body language is also, again, behavioral things. Like, you're not allowed to address behavioral issues. But she doesn't know if the male counterparts... You want a drink? 1 second. What are you having, Gav? What do you want? What do you want? We're pouring Gav a drink. What do you want, Gav? We will rock you. We are the champions. Fucking anything. All right. Here's some good old Irish water. There you go. Some good old... This is mad. So, again, some of these things in this lawsuit I am very much against. I understand why they're putting it in there. However, again, you can't literally coach anybody, because how does she know that her male counterparts are not being counseled for the same thing? These experiences led female employees to leave their employment with the defendant. That was, again, their choice. They chose to terminate their employment. They didn't get fired. Tom B. is passing out drinks. You can have one too? Certainly. Here you go, Tom. Here's some wobbly pop for you, Tom. As a result of these discriminatory pay, assignment, promotion, and other practices, defendants' gender pay gap is significant. Defendants paid female employees significantly less in base pay and total compensation than their male counterparts. Again, multiple things that could affect this. I understand why they're doing it. You want a pan-galactic gargle blaster? Here you go, Nern. It'll hit you like a gold brick wrapped in lemon. So again, like these, like I understand why the department's putting these arguments in here, because it's very much. You want one too, LEZ? One sec, I got you. There you go. All right. They're putting this in here to kind of paint the narrative, which is why I love this so much, because Activision was so far up the fucking ass of woke culture. So far up the ass of woke culture. Now they're getting eaten alive by it. It just goes to show you. When women complain to the human resource personnel about lack of equal employment opportunities, especially in the comparison of their male counterparts, their complaints fell on deaf ears and were met with an empty promise to investigate the issue. Human resources is not there for you. Human resources is there for the company. They don't care about you. As a result of discriminatory practices, female employees were forced to leave employment with the defendants. For example, female employees noted that they accepted less compensation than they were making in their prior employment or offered by other companies to work with the defendants. It's exactly what I just said. Exactly what I just said. They took the job at a lower scale intentionally because that got them in the door. They didn't have to. They just did it to guarantee themselves getting in. Jesus Christ. They never made the ground up and instead had to watch as the male comparators were promoted more quickly and forcing them to leave the company. They didn't force you to leave the company. Your gambit didn't work and you were pissed off. You took less money to work for the company and get in there and push your stupid agendas. And you didn't make up the ground because you took a pay cut to work for the company. Then you actually hated what the company stood for and you left. That part I am on the side of Activision for. That part. This shit has nothing to do with frat boy culture. It has everything to do with woke lunatics weaseling their way into companies. This is how they get into companies, by the way. They don't get into companies based on their qualifications. They get into companies because they'll take $5 an hour pay cut. They'll take a $5 an hour pay cut, weasel their way into a company, and then try and force a woke agenda on them. Oh, and then they get mad because the male comparisons. Boo. Anonymous.
Tipped $4, 4 drinks, 4 tips.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it, Anonymous. Thank you for the $4. But you see it a lot of the time. I'm not excusing the sexual assault and shit that I'm sure this document's going to get to. I see it on the screen right now. That doesn't excuse this. I guess I should really extend this over. That doesn't excuse what's about to come on the screen. This is just the department appeasing to woke California is what's going on. for the heinous crime of, not abiding by woke culture. But here's the thing, companies, come here real close. This is the only time I'm going to give you free advice, companies. Come in real close. Don't take these people. If your starting wage is $16 an hour and you have this eager little upstart person coming into your company offering to work for 10, run away. Run away. Don't take them in. Don't give them the time of day. Don't hire people who are not qualified. You literally put out a statement saying that forced diversity makes your company like fucking unworkable. So why are you fucking accepting people who want to come in and work for fucking $10 an hour? They have an agenda. That's why they're doing it. Jesus Christ. Defendants terminated female employees more quickly than their male counterparts. This pattern or practice in violations were continuing. Notice that they don't actually give any examples of the defendants terminating anybody because it's likely the fact that their terminations were justified. You sounded like Ron just asking for a job this time. So yeah, they have examples for all of these people and allegedly having pay differentials and they hurt my fees, but they don't have any examples of them terminating anybody because it's likely that all the terminations were justified. Unfortunately. This part here, I am very interested in. This part is going to get Activision nailed to the fucking cross. Sexual harassment. Female employee. This should have been their first, their number one. They should have let off with this. Not this fucking fluff garbage, which basically 50-50 at best. Here we go. Sexual harassment. Female employees almost universally confirmed that working for defendants was akin to working to a frat house. I mean, you're working for a video game company. Big surprise. You're spitting such common sense. More people have to hear this in general. I think so too, Nern. I think so too. Which invariably involved male employees drinking and subjecting female employees. Yeah. By the way, share and like and subscribe and do all the fun stuff. Share this stream out because, like Nern said, I'm talking common sense. And common sense ain't too common anymore. People should hear this. People need to hear this stuff. Get it out there. Share the videos. I try to keep them entertaining and I try to keep them within a range of digestibility. Female blah 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 with no repercussion. So, which invariably involved male employees drinking and subjecting female employees to sexual harassment with no repercussion. Did this happen at work? That is the question. Did this sexual harassment stuff happen at work? If people heard this, I think they would realize that we all have more in common than we think. I think so too, Nern. Common sense is becoming a dead language. Well, I am becoming more valuable then, if that is the case. Cube crawls in defendants' offices were common and male employees proudly came into work hungover. I would like to see evidence of cube crawls. You ever think about clipping your videos into segments that are more shareable by topic? I've thought about it, but I literally I don't have no one's time stamping shit for me. No one's pointing out clips and times. I would do all the hard work. I don't go back and watch my videos. When I'm doing my videos, I do my videos. Y'all are the ones that are watching them. I don't go back and watch my videos. But if people sent me timestamps and shit, I would absolutely go out and clip them into segments so that they could be shared. I would 100% do that. I'm just, and at the end of the day, I'm just fucking lazy. I'm so fucking lazy. I just don't want to go back and watch like 3 hours of content to go and but up. Where if people find like really interesting things, like they can just like point out timestamps to me, and I'll do that. I'll definitely clip them out and make it interesting. Because I have a ton of fucking videos. Like I have like 55 live streams to go through. Like, I have a ton of content. So I mean, if some person out there, some crazy person out there wants to go through and let me know timestamps about interesting things, then hey, go for it. But I generally try to remember certain things, and I forget where it is, and then I just end up not doing it. So I am forever dinner time. Have a good one, Tom. Take care. Similarly, male employees will play video games during work, engage in banter about sexual... This fucking video games at work thing, if there's so many people doing it, it probably means that they're allowed to do it. I'm just guessing. I'm guessing working at Activision, you're allowed to play video games. It's just... I know it's an abhorrence for people who don't play video games who work at Activision. I can't believe they're playing video games at work. Well, catch it on the replay. Have a good one, Tom. Take care. I know it's an abhorrence to them, but, you know, hey. It's part of the job. You work for a video game company. Switch your insulin pump out? No problem, Milo. Take care. Be safe. Engage in banter about their sexual encounters. Talk openly about female bodies and make numerous rape jokes. Rape jokes. If that's the case, then every time that women talk about men should also be considered sexual harassment. If we're being fair. Because I've seen many times that women engage in conversations. Stream start 00. Thank you, Shadows King. I've seen many times that women converse and talk about men in sexual manner and their sexual exploits and sex positive and blah, blah, blah. And that's never brought up as sexual harassment. So maybe we should start. Female employee noted that random male employees would approach her on defendant's work site and comment on her breasts. Okay, so why don't you then go to police? File a report. Don't go to HR, because HR doesn't care about you. If that is the case, bring it to your boss. If your boss does nothing, go to the police. Yeah, women are generally more sexually open about discussions and shit at workplaces. Female employees working for the World of Warcraft team noted that male employees and supervisors would hit on them, make derogatory comments about rape, and otherwise engaging in demeaning behavior. I don't know. Yeah, what troglodyte does this exactly? I don't know what workplace. Exactly, Shadows King. It's a common thing. It's a common thing that happens. I don't know what workplace does not have people hitting on each other. Let me just say that. Especially considering we just went through like 2 years of COVID, and no one's allowed to go out anywhere. I would be surprised if there is a workplace outside of family businesses that don't have, I mean, probably family businesses too in some circles, that don't have people hitting on each other at work. I would be shocked. I'd be fucking shocked if they didn't have supervisors or male employees or what have you hitting on them. Every single job that I have been in has either had couples that started dating while they were working there or got married while they were working there, etc., etc., etc. So, this behavior was known to supervisors and indeed encouraged by them, X to doubt, including a male supervisor openly encouraging a subordinate to buy a prostitute to cure his bad mood. That's not... Okay. Demeaning behavior is demeaning towards you. So here's the thing. If a manager said, oh, why don't you go down to accounting and pay Karen to have sex with you? That would be demeaning. Saying, oh, why don't you go to a street corner and pay a hooker to have sex with you? That is not demeaning to anybody that is working for you unless someone who is working for you is a sex worker. There's nothing wrong with telling somebody to go and have sex with a hooker unless, you know, you're a pimp. And I don't even know. I guess that's just advertising your business at that point. But seriously, there's nothing wrong with saying, oh, or even joking around and saying, oh, you should probably go and hire a hooker to take care of that bad mood. How is that demeaning? That's not demeaning to anybody at the workplace. In fact, it's probably a jab at the guy. Saying like, hey, you're kind of a horn dog, eat a Snickers. Like, Jesus Christ. In a blatant example of defendant's refusal to deal with harasser because of his seniority position, Alex, I don't know how the fuck to say his name, the former senior creative director of World of Warcraft at Blizzard Entertainment, was permitted to engage in blatant sexual harassment. Wow, this is hugely defamatory. With little to no repercussions. Call the manager. Exactly. During a company event, an annual convention, at BlizzCon, he would hit on female employees, telling him he wanted to marry them, attempting to kiss them, and putting his arms around them. Was he under the influence of anything right now? Got a Snickers candy bag in my house now that you mentioned it. This is horrifically racist, by the way. This is playing into the show Bob and Vagine stereotype. I'm very disappointed right now. This is playing into a stereotype. I do not agree with this. I disavow. This was in plain view of other male employees, including supervisors, who had to intervene and pull him off of female employees. He was known to harass engage in harassment of females in a suite that was nicknamed the Crosby Suite. Well, he's got to change that. He's got to change that now. After the rapist, Bill Crosby. It's not even Crosby though, because it's Cosby, right? They can't even. I guess there might actually be a Bill Crosby out there. There might actually be a rapé artist, Bill Crosby, and they're not actually talking about Bill Cosby. I mean, just saying. It's not like it was national news or anything, you know. It's not like it was national news. Show Bob and Virgin. Merry Veggie Christmas. Exactly. Merry Veggie Christmas to everybody. All right. So Bill Crosby should sue. Absolutely. Poor Bill Crosby. Alleged rap artist. He would also call females derogatory names at company events. Conduct was known to Blizzard Entertainment executives who took no effective remedial measures. J. Allen Brack, president of Blizzard, allegedly had multiple conversations with him about his drinking. So, yeah, okay. He got drunk and acted like a stereotypical, psychopath. Not excusing the fact that he did it. Bing Crosby should sing. Like not excusing the fact that, alcoholism But they need to say like he was drunk. They can't just say like he just walked up in sound mind and started saying he wanted to marry people, because that is just full ass race car. But it was something like Honey or Sweetie. They'd been too friendly towards female employees at company events, but gave him a slap on the wrist, a verbal counseling. It's better than nothing. In response to these incidents, subsequently, he continued to make unwanted advances at female employees, including grabbing an employee's hand and inviting her to his hotel room and groping another woman. Okay, why wouldn't you put groping ahead of holding somebody's hand? I think that groping is quite a ways up the scale on offensive, but I mean, I guess. Groping where exactly? Maybe groping her fingertips. Unprotected hand holding, exactly. In a tragic example, so again, I don't understand why this is not the first thing on the fucking list, by the way. Why this is at the end. I guess they're trying to save it for like dramatic effect. In a tragic example of harassment, defendants allowed to fester in their offices, a female employee committed an hero while on a company trip due to sexual relationship that she had been having with her male supervisor. The male supervisor was found by police to have brought a butt plug and lubricant on his business trip. Yes, that is to keep the other executives for going up his ass. Hate switching at your pump. That does not sound comfortable. That's for damn sure. Paragraph 47 has way more detail. Exactly! Paragraph 47 is like fucking super duper long. And we have like nothing. So, he brought a butt plug and lubricant on his business trip. I don't know if y'all have ever been in an executive meeting. You definitely need both of those. Another employee confirmed that the deceased female employee may have been suffering from other sexual harassment at work prior to her death. Specifically, at a holiday party before her anhero, male coworkers were alleged to be passing around a picture of the deceased's Wagyu. I think that probably would have more to do. That would likely have more of a direct cause of the anhero than someone being found to have bringing in bad. Let me try that again. Someone to have been found to be bringing in executive materials to an executive meeting. Let's just be real. Oh yeah, my mom is diabetic, so I definitely understand all the shit that diabetics have to go through. That's nuts. Crazy stuff. The man was going to an executive meeting. Of course he needed lubricant and a butt plug. He wouldn't be able to shit normal for a fucking week after that meeting. He's got to have something to keep it in there. Like, I totally understand. Retaliation and defendants' failure to prevent discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. The problems of harassment and discrimination extended to, and at minimum were known to those at the top. Defendant's former chief of technology was observed by employees groping inebriated female employees at company events and was known for making hiring decisions based on applicants' looks. Again, why are we not going to authorities or news? We can't. I need this job. So I'm just going to allow literal human rights violations to go by. An employee complained to Blizzard. Sure, it's not a stick up there and a plug just dies. I mean, if it fits. An employee complained to Blizzard Entertainment, J. Allen Brack, in early 2019 that employees were leaving due to sexual harassment and sexism. Specifically, this employee noted that women on the Battle.net team were subjected to disparaging comments. The environment was akin to working in a frat house. And that women were not huge gamers or core gamers and not into the party scene were excluded and treated as outsiders. Not surprised. Wow. Go figure. If you're not into playing video games and you're not into partying, but you go to a company that is literally nothing but partying and video games, you get excluded. Wow. Who would have thought? Hey everybody, I'm just this regular straight edge guy. I'm going to walk into this crack den and hope that I get in with the people. No. No, you're going to get shanked. Don't do it. Don't do it. Female employees had raised further complaints to various human resource personnel about the discrimination they faced, including but not limited to complaints about unfair pay and assignments. Male coworkers belittling them, minimizing their contributions, but because you're not taking ownership of the stuff that you do. Male counterparts being promoted quickly despite their lack of seniority. Similarly, female employees complained of harassment they suffered, including the male coworkers groped them. Go to the police. If your employer refuses to take action against somebody who is sexually assaulting you, go to the authorities. I miss slumming around crack dens. You're busy with the dogs. You're diagnosed in 2020 after dying twice, literally. Jesus. Wow. You've served 2 life sentences prematurely there, Milo. There you go. Damn. Such lack of remedial measures was not surprisingly given defendants' own internal investigation of their human resources and noted that there was a big lack of trust. Yada, 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 yada. In retaliation for complaints they made regarding harassment and discrimination, female employees experienced retaliation by defendants that included involuntary transfers, selection for layoffs, denial of projects, and other opportunities. Wow. Big surprise. Defendants' flawed policies and practices effectively allowed to continue in discrimination in the workplace, blah, blah, blah. Employees have suffered and will continue to suffer harm from the defendant's ongoing unlawful practices and policies unless they are enjoined by this court. First cause of action. So this is just stating that, second cause of action, employment discrimination because sex promotion. Interesting. I don't have any legal understanding, so I'm not going to be reading over this part because my opinion on this is completely moot because I don't have any legal understanding of what this mumbo jumbo means. So I'll leave that to better people to go over. 8th cause of action, yada yada. 10th cause of action. Jesus Christ. Prayer for leave. That's normal. Is there anything interesting on here attached? No. I would be interested to see if anything comes up because it's got to be discovery, right? I would assume this is getting settled before discovery because if discovery hits, they're going to get fucking reamed. They're going to get fucking reamed through. Hey, Amanda T, how you doing? Good to see you. I missed some chats here. You suffered a heart attack? Holy shit, Quentin. Jesus Jones. Yeah, I'm glad you're here too. Holy crap, dude. So, there you have it. There's a lot of stuff in this case. There's a lot of stuff in this document I don't agree with. However, there's a lot of stuff I do. The Activision should 100% be taken to the fucking ringer. Over, you've been busy? Good to hear. Always good to be busy. They should absolutely be taken to the ringer over the shit that they've done. 100%. This is absolute lunacy. Absolute lunacy that they're doing. And what I love about this, the entire first half of this case is stuff that every fucking employer on the planet does. Every employer that puts up the Black Lives Matter banner, every employer that changes their logo to a rainbow every June, every employer that talks about women's rights, every one that put out there, that fly the woke flag, they all do these things. Every one of them. Make no mistake. You can take every single allegation from the unfair practice standpoint, not the harassment standpoint, because that's case by case. Everything from the unfair practice standpoint and apply it to every fucking company that promotes themselves as BLM, promotes themselves as positive pro LGBT, blah blah blah. You will find that they fucking all do it. They all do it. They'll happily hire people at a pay cut because they're voluntarily taking a pay cut to join the company. They'll happily go about their lives keeping that pay disparity. They'll do it. And these people that are making complaints in this lawsuit right now, the individuals that are crying victim, will continue to go to companies. They will continue to go to companies that they hate, that they don't do anything for. They're not artists. They don't watch cartoons. They don't watch video. They don't play video games. They don't watch movies. They don't write comics. But they'll go and work for Disney. They'll go and work for Warner Brothers. They'll go and work for Marvel, DC, Activision. They'll go and work for these companies. And they'll voluntarily, without provocation, take dollar on the hour slashes just to get in. And then, much like in Cards Against Humanity, when we talked about Cards Against Humanity, if you have not checked out that stream, check it out. Because this is 100% exactly the same carbon copy. Where Cards Against Humanity got called out for unfair practices against a person of color, a female person of color. Because she didn't like the game, never played the game, had no sense of humor, forced herself into the company, and then wanted the company to bend to her will. And then surprisingly got pushed out. Because she was an absolute massive fucking cunt to them. And they were trying to do everything they could to, promote a good workplace. This is exactly the same type of person. They go into... And it's Activision's fault for taking them in. You know full well they don't care a fucking lick about your company. They've never played a game of yours. They have no fucking idea what you do. They don't care about your culture. I'm talking about the video game culture. I'm not talking about the, rubbing your dick on the glass in front of your female coworkers while they're having lunch culture. That may or may not be taken out of context. I don't know. But they don't care about your video games. They go into your workplace with the intent to walk out with a lawsuit. They want to be terminated. They want victimhood. And it seems like Activision was more than happy to give them all that. So I think both sides of this are at fault. And for the first half of this case, I think the employees were largely at fault for taking on responsibilities without recompense. Taking on responsibilities, additional responsibilities, and then expecting promotions when that was not the case. which never do, by the way, because that just enables companies to do shit like this. And Activision's fault for largely being a pile of garbage. So it's a marriage made in heaven for these two. I think they deserved each other. I think Activision 100% deserves this case and 100% deserves to be flushed down the toilet like the turd they are. But I also believe it'd be very interesting to see what comes out of Discovery, if anything comes out of Discovery. But now that Activision has a massive black eye, they might have to show the actions that they took, and they might have to drag out some of these employees that made claims just to right their own ship. I'd be interested to see what happens. But this will be something I keep an eye on. I'm not entirely sure if this is going to go beyond what it is right now, but there's a lot of people paying attention to it. Might want to use a swab for a proper culture. Exactly, Quentin. And we'll take a look at it. But yeah. These companies are garbage. And they, much like what happened to Ken, much like what happened to Kiwi Farms' Ken Jennings, they're fucking spineless. They're spineless. And when their own rules and their own actions get turned around on them, they think it's unfair. Well, guess what? It is unfair. So maybe you should stop doing it. Maybe you should stop treating the Kiwi Farms Ken Jennings, the Quentin Flynns, the Vic Mignonas of the fucking world like dirt to save a few dollars. Just to save money. You don't care about these fucking people. Clearly. You don't care at the fact that, people had sexual assault allegations. You don't care that your executives were disgusting trash bags of humans. So don't pretend like you care of what some anonymous clownwit on the internet that doesn't spend money on your product, that you don't even know if their name is their real name. Don't pretend like you care about what they have to say, because you literally don't even care about your own people. The only thing you care about is your bottom line. So stop pretending everybody fucking knows it. Everybody is aware. Stop pretending like you care about people. And stop acting surprised Pikachu when your own shit gets turned on you. Because it's a machine you fucking built. And your remote control don't fucking work anymore. That's about all I have today, folks. That is it for today's show. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. As always, it's been a blast. It's been great. Good fun times with you guys all the time. We'll probably be back next week. I think I'll be back next week. I don't know what the topic's going to be about next week. I never really like my brain. I never really formulate like any scripts for these things, but we'll be back next week. I will eventually talk about that about the Irish thing. That'll be a topic one day. You're very late, but you had fun. Well, there's lots of good stuff to go back if you want to read up on that too. If you want to listen to it, Pikachu costume for a cat of yours, do it up. But until next time, folks, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all of you. Until next time, as always, keep your stick on the ice. Bye-bye.